All right, I always like when I get this guy on. Former NHLer and co-host of the Cam Strick Pod. It's Cam Janssen. What's up, buddy? How we doing?
Yeah, I'm in the bowels of Washington. I don't even know what this arena's called. Actually, I forgot. I haven't been here in a while, but I'm hidden. I'm hidden underneath here, so hopefully my connection's okay.
I've been there too. Like I've watched games there, and I still can't tell you. You know that it isn't a good spot though, right? In that little downtown district and bars all around. It's a great
dude. Yeah. Beautiful. It's really, really nice. We stayed at the Four Seasons right on, Pennsylvania, and there's bars everywhere. It's really, really cool, clean. Now, It's very, very expensive. Like you got to have coin if you want to live down in the Georgetown area. But man, when you're just coming in, it's really, really nice there. The boys had a nice setup.
Yeah, there's I spent a couple of nights there at this little rooftop bar right around the corner. You can just see the entire district. It's an awesome spot. I'm just a big fan in general of when arenas are actually in downtowns. When you can walk up to a game or take a subway to a game and not have to drive out to a parking lot in the middle of nowhere and then spend 3 hours trying to get out of there when the game.
You don't like Ottawa?
Oh, dude, I went to university in Ottawa, and let me tell you something, brother. I spent a lot of I got hung over on multiple bus rides trying to get out of there with people. It's a nightmare, especially after the Leafs got pumped.
Setup.
Yeah, Leafs would get pumped.
It is a weird setup.
At
I'll tell you
8-1.
this, though.
Yep.
I'll tell you this. If you're a player and you judge where you want to go, and even now, doing radio, you're traveling with the team, you judge every place you're staying at.
Yeah, of course.
You just do. How the hotel is, how convenient it is, what's around there. And Ottawa is still in a very, very difficult spot with that, because if you ranked it, it would be on the bottom of the list, unfortunately, just because how the setup is, man. There's just really nothing to do out in that Brook Street Hotel. And Ottawa's such a beautiful city. Gosh, I can't wait for them to be able to build a rink downtown. I know there's a lot that goes on with regulations and this, that, and the other, but that's an awesome city that's clean and nice. Take advantage of it.
I know, and the worst part about it is you do that, and I really think it changes the dynamic of the fan base. That's one of the issues that Ottawa's always had, which is that you have a game there, and they're against the Canadians or against the Leafs, and the other team is basically selling it out. And Sens fans get completely overwhelmed. It's not even 50-50 most of those nights. Yeah, it is tough, and you're competing with the Leafs in that market, right? It's not an easy thing to do. But, man, if the arena's downtown and you can start to poach what is a large university city, get some of those fans to do walk-ups and buy 300 section tickets and start to get some of the locals going, hey, instead of having to drive all the way out there and then get stuck in the traffic, we can just take the bus and get over there and get in, get out in 25 minutes. Boy, it changes everything. Okay, so I actually do want to talk to you about Sen stuff. Before we get into St. Louis and all of the rumors that are around them and what your kind of read is on what they do here and some of the players, you guys had this awesome clip that went viral about the Tkachuks and how your co-host, Andy, was like, yeah, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time, folks, before that guy's out of here. Which, let me guess about your mentions from Senators fans. I'm sure they were just beautiful. I'm sure that you didn't wake up to any hate from Ottawa fans. But, yeah, I guess how deep is your belief that ends up happening? Because it was hard to watch it and not think about it.
Yeah, look, Andy's pretty good with this kind of stuff, man. If you hang out with him enough, he's on his phone nonstop, and I make fun of him for it. But because he's digging at stuff. And look, I think the Sens fans kind of realize too that could be a possibility. Those guys, the brothers, want to play together. They're going to probably do anything and everything to try to make that work. Eventually, I would say. But how do they get that done in the next couple of years? I don't know. It's going to be very, very difficult. What do you give up to get Brady? Ottawa has, some control in this whole situation. They don't want to give away their heart and soul captain. I mean, they want to do anything possible to keep him there, especially if there's going to be a new rink being built and whatnot. There's things going to go on in Ottawa, and they're pretty dang good this year. They're right there. Although they have injuries and they lost last night, so it's tough. But I remember the Blues playing. God, Ottawa smoked them I think 8-2 in Ottawa, and it's I watched some of those players play for the first time really up close, and you're like, yeah, man, they could be something if they just kind of, fix a couple things. They could. So that whole situation, man, listen, what would you do? You only have so much time playing. You only have so much time playing. You could have to pick and choose what you want to do. And do you want to go play with your brother in Sunshine, Florida? I mean, how can you say no to that? How can you not want to do that?
100%. 100%. No, it totally makes sense.
Be real here.
Yeah,
just be real.
But but also Ottawa hasn't been able to get their act together, and now they do have a new ownership. And I think that the team now on paper is a good one. When you watch them play, they're fast, right? They've got real playmakers, real weapons. They've got some guys who can snap it on the blue line. They finally figured out the goaltending to a degree. But, now they go in this rut where I think they're 1-5 in their last 6. They've been starting to trail off. And if you're Brady, and I know he's not playing in these ones, and that's kind of where I want to go next with this thing. But, there's got to become a breaking point, a point of frustration where you say, listen, I've tried it here. It hasn't been successful here. And, I'd like to see what it's like being able to go and play with my brother. Like – it just,
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You're human. It is what it is.
I think if you're
you
a
have no
Sens
allegiance,
fan,
man. If I'm Brady, I busted my ass for you guys.
Of course.
Every single day in, night out, I bled for this team.
Mm-hmm.
The fans can't get mad at them over that, but they can get mad at Andy all they want.
Yeah, they can absolutely do that. I think if you're a Sens fan, the heartbreaking part of that Four Nations when you were watching it, though, is there was a game of USA versus Canada, and the best player on the ice for either team in that game was Brady Tkachuk. And a game where there was Connor McDavid, and there's Nathan McKinnon, and Austin Matthews, and Cale Makar. And who was the player that when he came over the boards had most impact? It was Brady Tkachuk. He was the scariest guy.
And he was hurt.
Yeah, and he was hurt. And if you're a Sens fan, you're watching that, you're going, oh my God, are we going to burn through this guy's prime without having him in meaningful hockey games? And it almost does get to the point where you say, man, if it is going to be that way, then at some point you almost want to see him freed. Probably not in the same division and going to Florida and then watching him bash up your team with his brother. But either way. Okay, so second part of this. So the Tkachuks have been doing this media tour. I love it. I think it's great. They're on Fallon. They're on the Kelsey Brothers podcast. They seem to have become household names in the United States for sports fans, at least, right? I think that the Olympic cycle will be big for them, that it's going to help elevate their personas. They've got the Bash Brother thing. It's an easy thing to understand for anybody who's a casual, which is so good for the sport, right? But how many games have those guys played since the tournament? None. 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 One of them might be. One of them might be out for the season. The other one, again, his team is struggling to win hockey games and getting pounded, and he's sitting on the sidelines right now nursing an injury. And I'm curious if you've started to think about, or this conversation when it goes a little bit further, especially if Florida doesn't get Matthew back this year, or the Sens miss the postseason because Brady can't get back on the ice soon. If the conversation starts to shift a little bit about these tournaments going, hey, that was really fun, but it materially changed the two most marketable players in hockey right now and their team's futures.
Yeah, and not to mention Charlie McAvoy, too.
Yeah.
You think Boston's happy with what's going on right now? I mean, No. They're trying to get in the mix still. They don't know what to do. They're in that bubble spot. But, yeah, man, look, if you get asked to go on Jimmy Fallon, man, you got to do it. Okay, you're a hockey player. Yeah. No one even, you need the attention. Sorry, hockey guys, man. It is what it is.
I think you're crazy
NBA
if you're making fun of that.
Everywhere. You got to market. You got to market yourself. And if those guys were prima donnas and nerdy or whatever, then it would probably get annoying just to see anybody get attention, too much attention. It goes with anybody. But they're the coolest guys. They're the nicest guys, man. They are down to earth, fun, just like their dad, who I played with too. I know them personally. And so I look at no, dude, market yourself. Go ahead. Hockey needs you to do that. Sorry, they do. Jimmy Fallon's not going to ask Connor McDavid to come on because he's Canadian. It's not, won Canada. They want, it's just the way it goes. And so if you could market yourself like that without doing it too much, and I know it is a little odd because, hey, A, he didn't win, and B, he's banged up, and usually you kind of sit still and you don't do much whenever you're hurt. But whenever Jimmy Fallon calls and you're a hockey player, I think it's good for everybody, and they need more of that.
Well, they just need more fans of the sport. They need more eyeballs on the sport. No, I have no issue with that. Again, I think it's smart of these guys to do this circuit. That like the injury part of it and them doing it, I also don't have an issue with. I actually I think it's kind of weird that you know the same thing. You make requests for players and you try to get guys on your show. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
And when they're hurt, the teams are like, no, they're injured right now. I'm like, yeah, doesn't that mean they have more time? Doesn't mean that they're not focusing on the game. Hand them a cell phone, right? Like give them a phone and let them chat on the show about what's going on with him, and let's do the interview.
Because you're gonna ask what's going on, how you hurt, and that's what they're worried about. Now it depends on the player. Like,
sure.
When I got hurt, I would do interviews because no one cared. You know,
they weren't like, when are you gonna be back?
I know. I mean, they're like, it just doesn't. Yeah, I hurt my shoulder. It's all good. You know what I mean? But like, if McDavid's got like a weird thing going on, you know, Austin Matthews was banged up and all of a sudden he's hurt for longer than everybody thought. You're going to have him interviewed. That's all they're going to ask him. So you have to protect the guys as much as possible, and depending on who it is. But no, hockey does. They're in a really good spot, I should say.
I agree.
The NHL is in a really good spot, man. Like, I'm sitting here in Washington. You got Braden Schenn 1,000 games a night. Then you got this Ovi guy who's the coolest cat in the world. Is just dominating. He's a freak of nature. He parties. He'll drink soda all day, and he goes out there and he scores from everywhere, and he's hilarious, and he doesn't take himself serious. And he's got his little kids in the stands, and he's banging. I mean, and they're an unbelievable team. Like, that is a big storyline, man. You just had Four Nations where you just got all this attention from so many different markets and people that would never even say anything, even if it was just Canada and U.S. with the political stuff. I mean, there's so much going on in the NHL. It's actually, not to mention the trade rumors and what's going to happen here in the next 7 days with the deadline coming up. Like, there's a lot going on. The NHL is healthy right now. It's getting a lot of attention from PK Subban and stuff like that. Like, there's just a lot going on, and, you know, it's kind of cool to see, man. It's good for me and you.
Yep.
I totally agree. Entertain us, man. We want entertainment.
I totally agree. I think that they are hoping to capitalize on this moment. I actually weirdly think that the OV goal chase has been a little muted. And maybe that is because it's been Four Nations and we're still high on that buzz and that the NHL trade deadline is happening. I also think there's a part of it where we weren't even ready for this to be happening this way, right? Like everyone's like, wait, he's going to do it this year? He's 12 back now of breaking the record? Whoa, he's scoring hat tricks. He's got 30 already. Like, get your house in order. Get your house in order. Get ready for the Ovi narrative. They don't even need to lean on it because they've got an embarrassment of riches right now. And this Stanley Cup Finals or this playoffs are going to be so crucial for hockey to maintain that growth. That's why it's like I'm terrified of a scenario where it's like Florida and Ottawa end up in a first-round playoff matchup and neither of their guys are there, and the conversation pivots to, well, it was because of the Four Nations tournament too. And you're like, oof. That's the nightmare scenario for me. But yeah, they've got the Olympic cycle that's coming right up. So there's a thirst for more of this, and people are going to be paying attention to roster construction, and you're going to be able to build off of it immediately to have hopefully this rematch. No, hockey's in a great place. You just have to hope that you get a good Stanley Cup playoffs. You get a bit of an interesting deadline, that the Ovi thing gets as much attention as it absolutely deserves, and that the Olympic hockey ends up replicating a lot of what we just saw, but even at a deeper level because there's more players. All right, let's get into St. Louis stuff. That's where you're from. That's who you are. That's what you do. I got to ask you this before we get into trade deadline things. So Binnington robs this game from the Americans, and Parayko's on the team. And I am a little curious about how fans are perceiving Binnington right now, given that his season to date wasn't the greatest. And if Austin Matthews scored a game-winning goal against the Maple Leafs, I don't know how I'd be handling it. Or sorry, against the Team Canada, I don't know how I'd be handling it.
The fans in St. Louis love Benner so much.
He won a cup,
he can do no wrong.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong, man.
Yeah.
They'll give him flack here and there if he has some bad stretches, but it usually doesn't last long. He walks on water in St. Louis, dude. Seriously. And hey, when I saw him dominate, I was losing my mind. I love the guy, man. He's an awesome guy, and he's an unbelievable goalie, and he's straight up Game 7. Let's go. I'll seal the deal, and that's what he does because he still let in some goals, man, against Finland. You know, that was a weird game where you look up at the scoreboard like, oh snap, it's 4-3, and then Crosby had to go out and make a play in the center ice to get the empty netter to seal the deal. But nobody's chirping him down here, dude. They praised him and Parayko, so the fans, and they love Parayko too. That's another one, by the way, that they adore in St. Louis. And he's been through some rough patches in his career with some negativity going on. It's always, somebody always has to be the guy, right?
Yep.
And in every market. And Parayko was for about a year and a half. Jay Bouwmeester went through that. Patrick Berglund went through that. Eric Brewer went through that in St. Louis. And it's not an easy thing. But now Parayko's on the completely other side, and they got praised when they went back into St. Louis. But it did piss me off. Austin Matthews, God, find a way as a straight-up goal scorer, prolific goal scorer, find a way to get a goal, and he couldn't do it because Benner shut him down, man. That was a tough one to watch, dude, because I'm American through and through, as you know, middle of United States, born and raised, and just to be that close. And then you know what you have to say, though? Canada's still on top, man. Canada's got the big dogs, dude. They got the core big dogs, and they still are on top. And I love United States, but that has to be a realization for everybody.
Yeah, I think it makes for a more dramatic Olympics too. I'm happy.
Dude.
It's I'm Canadian.
I'd like Russia to be in the mix, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know there's a conflict and there's so much to it. I get all that, but man,
no, they got to be at the
like
Olympics.
All these. Look at the talent. That's just, I don't know. Call them something else. I don't know. I know it's not that simplistic.
No, but that's what they did for the last Olympics, right? They made them the Olympic team or whatever, but that was for cheating. It was a different thing. But you want to see those guys there.
Call them Section 5 team. Who cares?
You want to see them there.
We want to see Cooch and Ovi and the boy. Like, come on.
Yeah, you need to see them there. And honestly, for the tournament to carry the added legitimacy, because it's the only thing that people pointed to with that tournament as a downside, right? The only thing people could knock was the fact Russia wasn't there. So, I think that's going to be big for the Olympics. Okay, trade block-wise, do you think then, because you said he walks on water there, and Parayko, someone who definitely stock up after that tournament, do you think Armstrong takes calls on those guys?
I think Armstrong takes calls on everything, man. Like, he doesn't, dude. He's, if he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Like, he doesn't. He is in his own. He's his own guy, man, and he's made big time decisions before. And if he thinks one way, he's gonna go down that direction. We've seen this before in the Blues, like in 2018. Year before the Cup, like they were like 2 points out, and he traded Paul Stastny, and then they didn't make the playoffs because of the last game of the year. I remember that. So like just ballsy decisions like that, but it's some worked out, some don't in this situation. But he's evaluating this organization right now and this team. They're playing great right now. And he said this publicly in St. Louis. Hey, we're going to evaluate these next 6 games. First off, the Blues have to put a 3-game win streak together. They still haven't done that. They'll have their chance tonight against Washington. Now they lost to Winnipeg late a couple games ago where they're up, and they could have had that when beating smoking the Seattle Kraken the other day. But I think Doug Armstrong's open to everything. I don't know if he's going to pull a move. If Braden Schenn leaves this organization, it's going to be tough on this locker room and whatnot. But everything's a business, man, and he's listening, and we'll just have to see what happens. But it does make it a little nerve-wracking for people. But on the other hand, it's exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, so Braden Schenn has now become person of interest here in Toronto, right? There's rumors about Toronto inquiring, about trying to get the Schenn brothers together. But the secondary conversation, I think the more important one to ask a guy like you who watches him every game, is the charts are not a fan right now, right? Like the chart watchers are not in on Braden Schenn, not at 6.5, not for 3 more years, I think. Takes him to his age 36 season. So when you're watching him right now, there's no one ever going to question the club, the locker room stuff. He's the captain of the team. He's a big Saskatchewan boy who cares. Fights for his teammates, no question about that. Don't question that he can levy a big hit. The numbers are in decline, but what do you see with a guy like that? Is it, hey, his game has materially tailed off and you don't think that he's a player worth investing in? Or some of this is overstated based on the situation?
If you're trying to win and you're a contending team and you need some depth up the middle, and I would go for it. I mean, I would. He's a great skater. He doesn't get hurt. He doesn't get hurt. Look at how many games he's played. I don't think he's played every single game this year, I think, and he played all last year. I mean, close to it. Like, he's a workhorse. Yeah, the numbers aren't there this year, but as of late, man, he could do other things on the ice too. You know what I mean? He takes big time draws, penalty kill, power play. He could do anything. He'll get into a fight if he need be. He's consistently hitting guys every single game. Yep. Even if he's off, like missing a net or whatever the case is, he's going to put somebody through the boards every single game. I see it. I'm like, I hear something down there. I'm like, oh, God, Schenn, just another one. Man, he's so strong. He's so powerful when he skates. He doesn't look like he's slowed down. You know, when you get a little bit older, you could just tell when guys slow down. Yeah, he's a powerful skater. He is quick. He's still fast, man. He is. He looks quick like he did a couple years ago. But he does have some term left on that contract. And, you know, I could see where that could kind of rub people off the wrong way. But as of right now, man, if you're trying to win this year and you put him in that third line center or wherever you want to put him, like he's going to help you. Remember in Game 7 against Boston, he scored that big-time nice goal right off the slot to basically seal the deal 3-0 from Vladimir Tarasenko. Like, he shows up big in big-time situations. He's proven it. So if I'm a team, I'm like, oh, God, let's at least talk about this.
Yeah, so the other thing, though, is he's got the full no-trade clause, right? I think it's a 15-team no-trade list that kicks in next season. But if you want to move him right now, he's got to have to move. And so what's your read there? Like, do you think that this is a guy who would be willing to pick up and go somewhere? Even like, does his brother need to be involved for him to consider something like that? Or like, he's the captain of the team, right? It's just like, that's not always easy.
It'd be tough. I think it'd be tough for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be tough for him. Like, he's committed a lot to St. Louis. He's been through a lot in St. Louis, a lot of positive moments, and this is his team, you know. It would be tough to be like, yeah, okay, let me go do this. I don't know, man. He's a pretty loyal guy, but you know, do you want to win too? Like, it's hard to get into some of these guys' minds because ultimately you want to win the Stanley Cup as much as possible, but you're totally turning your world upside down from being here for so long. Like, it's a big drastic change if you move. So it's a tough, man. I don't know. I don't know how I can answer that. But it would be a tough decision. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think if you're him too, like you at least get a strong say in the decision because you've got the full no move. So if there is a team that comes calling and you decide that is the spot for you, it makes it easier to at least forecast it. But it scares me because guys from Saskatchewan hate Toronto, and even though his brother played there, it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I know, man.
That's the regional dynamic that makes me afraid that he's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Me and Luke can go play somewhere else together.
That's the comparison of like being from the Midwest and living out, West Coast or the East Coast.
Yeah.
So
get that resentment.
Like the Midwest.
Yeah. You end up having that. Hey, buddy, again. The podcast is great. People can subscribe on all platforms. Cam and Strick Pod. I love it. You guys shoot it. You don't hold things back, which is, again, something that we always need, in especially this sport. Cam Janssen, thanks for making time as always, buddy.
Anytime, guys. All right, man.
Take care.
Talk soon.